Tonight's episode of the Sunday Night Talk is here because it is conference championship weekend. And as I'm recording this, it is Saturday afternoon, meaning I don't know the results of the games right now. I'm doing that because I have some thoughts that I only want to lay down pre-game. I want to remind you, though, before we get to these thoughts, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to it. We picked up some new subscribers this week. Every little bit helps. All my stuff is up here on the channel. Speaking of that, if you want to see me doing live stand-up comedy this February, two chances. February 7th, I am at the Del Pueblo Brewery right here in Pasadena, California. And February 17th, I am at Venice Beach at the Outdoor Comedy Show there as well. Interesting, those two shows are put on by two people I have interviewed on the Running It Back series here on the channel, Greg Benevitt and Sean Leary. So go check them out. Two great stand-up comics who we did a deep dive on their lives on the show. Now, on to my pre-game thoughts. Number one, my co-host, as you know, Omar Carmona, is a San Francisco 49ers fan. They are in the conference championship playing Detroit at home. And I'm a little curious of what his reaction is going to be on the show. If the 49ers win, I predict he will be completely insufferable. He will be saying a lot of, I told you so. He will be saying, like, this is what he knew all along. This is the Purdy we all know and love. You see, that divisional round was nothing but a fluke. If the 49ers lose, I predict we will see the rare, somber Carmona. He'll want to move on from the game before I'm done talking about it. He'll turn into philosophical Carmona. He might say that, this wasn't their year and you have to move on. This is life. I'm going to try and steer him back to the road to actually discuss the game. That's my concern, number one. Number two, I wrote down some title pregame guidelines that I want to say right now before I know the results of the game so I can judge them later. And here they are. Number one, home field. And I put a question mark at the end of that. Does home field matter? Does home field matter? San Francisco, Baltimore, the two home teams this week. Number two, the bounce back. I'm talking Purdy specifically. Bad divisional round. Can he bounce back? Can he make an impact? Can he be MVP Purdy that we talked about for 2 weeks during the regular season? Lamar and Mahomes, I don't think they really fall into the category of a bounce back. They both played great in the divisional, so this really just applies to San Francisco. Number three, does defense win championships? We talk a lot of offense. Defense secondary. Ravens defense is good. San Francisco's defense, very good. Will they be the biggest impact in these two games? I want to see how that plays out. And lastly, NFL conspiracy. What would the NFL want to see in their Super Bowl this year? I think it's obvious we can say they want to see Kansas City. They want to see Taylor Swift. They want the most eyeballs. They want the most ad revenue. That's the most compelling story. But let's flip it. What about Lamar? What about the burgeoning of a new NFL star in the league? What about a Lamar versus Mahomes battle for the next 5 years? I wouldn't discount that either. On the flip side, is it San Francisco? Is it Detroit? What would the NFL want to see on that end? Detroit, the new darlings of the NFL. San Francisco, a marquee team. My personal pick is they'd want to see Kansas City, San Francisco. But the other end of it, I like too. Keep an eye out because there's always 4 or 5 controversial calls, timeouts used, timeouts not used. Can we cry conspiracy at the end of this Sunday? Keep those in mind. Now, all that being said, let's go to the show. How did it play out? Here we are. Myself, Patrick Ramirez, and Omar Carmona. It is conference championship weekend here on the Sunday Night Talk. Let's go! All right, recording this 7:43 on the West Coast. Conference championship weekend. Omar Carmona joins me. The victorious Omar Carmona joins me. He is here. He's in his 49ers jersey. He spent the whole day not responding to my texts.
Nope.
About any game whatsoever. We just finished Detroit at San Francisco, and we're going to jump right into it. But we have a special guest this week on the show. We have another caller, Omar. So let's bring him in.
Let's do it. Who do we have? Who do we have coming in? Here we go. I hear the
Joining the show this week is, you know him from 3 weeks ago, my Uncle Ray.
Here we go. Uncle Ray's back.
Is calling into the show. Hello, Uncle Ray. Can you hear me?
He's still on mute.
Oh, maybe he's still on mute. Unmute yourself, Uncle Ray. Because as you remember, his last appearance, I don't know if I would use the word went so smoothly on the show.
Can you hear me?
No.
All right, there's Uncle Ray, everybody.
This is getting out to a great start.
How about you guys just don't want to hear me?
Hey,
all right. We're just beginning here.
Hey.
What is with you two?
Hey. I just wanted to congratulate Omar and the 49ers.
Oh, this is nice. He's congratulating you, Omar.
Yeah, Omar and the 49ers. That was one hell of a comeback, man.
And you know what? That's been the knock on the 49ers. They don't play well from behind, and now that's 2 straight weeks they've had to come back.
Right.
34-31.
Out of me.
Is that right? What's your stance on the 49ers, Uncle Ray? Going into this game, is there any way you can root for them? Or do you have just some built-in rivalry as a Dallas Cowboys fan?
Well, it's a little of both. I want to root for them because it's Omar's team. Okay, that's the only reason I would root for them.
Oh,
but otherwise, no, I'm going to go for the Chiefs.
Oh, so this is a 1 week rooting.
I'll be rooting for both teams.
So basically, he's saying, with all due respect, F you.
Yeah. He's doing the old. He's doing the old. I don't like your hat, and I don't mean that in a bad way.
Right.
All right. And Ray, you can hang with us and talk a little bit about this game because I want to hear your thoughts on a few things.
Okay.
I wrote down a few big notes on this game, and I put a big line through my note card that says first half, second half. First half, Detroit is running the ball all over the 49ers like I've never seen before. And on the flip side, San Francisco cannot throw the ball at all. It's really strange. So what's your concern level? Those first 2-3 drives, Omar, the defense is getting gashed. What's going on there? What's your thoughts and what's your concern?
Gashed is putting it lightly. That was a hemorrhage. They couldn't tackle. They couldn't cover. They couldn't pass rush. It seemed like Goff had all day to throw the ball that first half. And then, it was just up and down. There was nothing the Niners could do.
Uncle Ray, were you concerned about the 49ers offense? Because they were very stagnant early.
Oh, yeah. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that the 49ers were struggling the way they were.
The other thing, go ahead. I cut you off.
Yeah, but at the same time, I was enjoying the hell out of it.
You have very bipolar fandom, Uncle Ray. You're like, I root for the Niners because of Omar, but I was enjoying them getting gashed.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
as he was probably wearing a Barry Sanders jersey all afternoon.
Are you one of those fans, Uncle Ray, that wears the Cowboys jersey on a day that the Cowboys are not even playing?
Yes.
Do you have, and how do you
show your colors? That's the way I've always thought of it.
Yeah, I wear my Raiders gear colors. The whole year.
Colors. It's the NFL.
Cowboys.
So, wear your colors. Wear your colors whenever you're watching a game, even if you're not there.
The Cowboys' color is yellow.
All right, we're 5 minutes in, Omar. Let's try and keep it to a conversation. The Cowboys' color is yellow. You've been sitting on that one for.
See what happens with those 49er fans, Pat?
See,
They,
I
they
told
get
both of
ugly
you.
right away.
I told both of you if you upset me, I'm putting you both in the waiting room. All right.
Right. And I think Omar needs to go to the waiting room.
How do you
Yeah,
watch?
I got 2 weeks of waiting. I got two
I know,
weeks of
Omar.
waiting coming up.
Omar, you're gonna be completely insufferable. This is gonna be the time when you actually return my text.
Yeah.
Is this week, and you're gonna be difficult to deal with. I'm gonna tell you right now. You're no longer wearing your sunglasses indoors. You have glasses you can actually see through. It's gonna be a fun week for you and a rough week for the rest of us. Uncle Ray, how do you watch the game as a Cowboys fan? Do you get together with other Cowboys fans, or do you like to solo it?
No, today I soloed it. Usually, yeah, I'll get together with the guys that I hang out with, and we'll watch the games. But today it was just didn't want to break anybody else's television, so just thought I'd watch it here alone.
I wanna ask.
Good. It was good.
I want to ask one more question before we go back to the game, because someone asked me this and it got me thinking as a fan. Someone asked me, what has been the happiest time you have ever been as a Raiders fan? I had to think of that 2002 season when they were winning and they went to the Super Bowl, they lost, but like I was consistently happy that year. So Uncle Ray, as a Cowboys fan, what has been the happiest time that you have had as a Cowboys fan? Can you trace it back to a season, an era, a game itself?
I think the happiest I've ever been, Pat, is when we went to that '92 Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And we watched the Dallas
Quiet, Omar.
Cowboys.
I'm going to mute your mic, Omar.
We demolished the Bills, and hey, like I told my brothers, your dad and my brother Leonard, that was it. I don't think I can top that ever again. I don't think so.
You don't
Unless
have
the Cowboys go to the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
and I get to go again. But otherwise, that's number one, Pat.
That would be really, really hard to beat. You don't have to respond to this, but I remember when the game ended and we're standing up, we're cheering, and you're sitting, and my dad like puts his hand on your shoulder and he goes, "We did it, bro. We did it." And you don't respond to him. And I thought, I think Uncle Ray's crying. and I think this is the happiest moment that you can share. So I was like, because you had your dark sunglasses on, like you always had dark glasses on. It was nighttime, and you didn't respond. I was like, I think Ray's crying. I think this is his moment. I'm gonna leave it at that.
I was just trying to take it all in, and maybe there were a little tears shed, Pat.
I know I'm gonna cry if the Raiders ever win a Super Bowl, and I might just stop being a fan of football afterwards. There's no way I'm ever going to get to that again. I might just stop.
I know for sure if I get a win in 2 weeks, I will be sobbing like a baby.
I appreciate your honesty.
Yes, it's gonna be a good game. What I wanted to ask is, who do you think is going to wear the white jersey, or will they both wear red?
Is that possible? Someone's got to wear white, right?
Right. So how are they going to figure that out?
My thought was they did it by record, but I don't know if that's true anymore. Who has the better record gets the decision.
I don't know. That's a great question, and I think these are already decided. Yeah, but last I remembered, because I tried to get a jersey for the last Niners Super Bowl, it wasn't announced until Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think in the old days they did. Whoever had the better record had the choice to make a which jersey. But I don't think it's that simple anymore. We'll have to check. We'll have to get the research department on that. All right, let's go back to the game, because there was a point in this game early on where McCaffrey had the "I will not be stopped" drive, which, remember, he had it in the Packers game, where he's like, I'm scoring, nobody's tackling me. And I thought McCaffrey's taking over this game, but it still took another 2.5 quarters for them to get going. And then, Omar, for you, I have a thought where I think this happened, but for you, where did the momentum shift in this game?
It was just adjustments. The defense had to clamp down, and Detroit, they get the ball and they're driving down the third quarter and they got stopped. And it just seemed like now the Niners had an answer. I think it was really just tightening everything up. And the 49ers, they came out flat, offense and defense. They just came out flat, and they were out coached, out muscled. Those two running backs, Gibbs and Montgomery, were running all over them. But you make the adjustments. You cause some turnovers. That was a huge fumble, which ended up leading to the tie of the game. But that's what it was. And that after you tightened up, they were good to go.
Uncle Ray, where was the momentum change for you? Did you notice something specifically?
I think it was the fumble.
The fumble,
the fumble was huge. I think after that fumble, and they were able to score right away the way they did, and you could sense it. You could sense that the momentum had changed, and it was just a matter of time before the 49ers just took over the whole game.
It was definitely in that 8-minute stretch somewhere. For me, I think it was that 4th down stop where the Lions went for it. I think they were up. How much were they up? 14 at the time? And they could have kicked the field goal. They go for it. They don't get it. Niners go down, get the touchdown. First play after the kickoff, fumble. And it felt like the Niners were playing all downhill from there. And we'll talk about all the 4th downs in a moment. But after that 4th down stop, it just seemed like the Detroit Lions were like it was like watching a fight, and one fighter has won 6 rounds in a row. And in the 7th round, the one guy just stuns them. And he's just like, what the hell was that? And it was like, wait, this fight has changed. Now, I felt it was the 4th down, but you two both seem it was that huge fumble, which swung it so bad. That was, what, 14 points in a matter of a minute? A minute of game time?
Right. I think that was the momentum changer right there. But that 4th down stop was crucial also, because they should have gotten their 3 points. That's what I thought. They should have gotten their 3 points and, back on defense. But that kills you sometimes, when you try to go for it and you don't get it. That's a killer.
Where did you stand on all the 4th downs they went for it? Because part of me thinks that that's your plan going into it. We're going to go for it on 4th downs. I respect that was their game plan and they stuck to it, but that was the momentum changer. That's what let the Niners back in. What did you think on the 4th downs, Omar?
But that's the way Dan Campbell plays, and I don't blame him for taking those shots. Now, I mean, hindsight is always going to be 20/20, and you can always play Monday morning quarterback and win. But the bottom line is Dan Campbell, he stuck to who he was, and he went for it on 4th down, and that was no surprise. And I think that when you had the success Dan Campbell had all year, you got to go with what you've been using, and he's been using that formula. Now, looking back on it, those points could have been were invaluable. But look, he stuck to what he does, and he's been winning that way. So why change it now?
It led to like one of the greatest fan moments where the team goes for it on 4th down, they don't get it, and then you as the fan can go, I don't like the call.
Right.
It's like, you know what happened.
But then he converts those, and then you're walking away saying, Dan Campbell is a genius, and
that's true. He converted a lot of these 4th downs. There was a couple of them he didn't get that were the big swing. I think if you look at it and you say, I'm going to go for it on 4th and short inside the 35 every time, and you stick to it, I agree with that. However, I mean, you said it earlier, there needs to be some adjustment during the game. There needs to be something called the eye test. Like, we're up. By the way, our defense is stopping the Niners pretty consistently at this point. So I don't mind that they go for it on the 4th down and don't get it, but I just think the points are so crucial in some of these games, and also being away, they had momentum, and even, they didn't get it. It just gave the Niners that little crack, and they ran with it, and then they got the fumble, and then the Niners were off and running. Now, where do you stand, Uncle Ray, on the momentum and just the energy level changing after that Ayuk face mask catch, which I think I've watched 10 times, and I still not sure how he caught that ball.
Yeah, I could not believe that catch. It was just like, oh man, now you knew things were changing right there. The luck, the momentum, everything was kind of clicking for the 49ers. It was like, how did he do that? And it's just like, it brought me back to the Dallas Cowboy Pittsburgh Super Bowl.
Oh my God! Here we go back to a 49.
No,
a Cowboy Super Bowl.
Uh-oh.
with
Waiting
Lynn
room warning
Swan,
for Omar. You get 2 warnings,
catches
Omar.
that Lynn Swan had, that kind of thing,
Yeah.
where it was just it was amazing. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was an amazing catch.
Oh, it was.
These are the catches that make the difference. These are the catches that propel you to that, that feeling that, hey man, nothing's gonna stop us. So
if I can add, if you notice what the Lions are doing in the first 2 quarters, at first, first and 10, they were picking up 7 and 8 yards. I mean, if you're looking at second,
their first drive was 4 plays.
Yeah, but if you're looking at 2nd and 2, 2nd and 3 consistently, you have a wide open playbook, and then if you notice the Niners, McCaffrey started getting, he was cooking, and now they're picking up 8-9 yards on first down in the 3rd and 4th quarters, and that to me made the difference.
Oh yeah, he was a bruiser there in the end there. He was just crushing it. You couldn't stop him. He was on him, and you were going to need 2-3 guys to get him down. He was fantastic running by McCaffrey.
Do you think McCaffrey took over this? I kind of I see it now that Purdy needs McCaffrey and McCaffrey needs Purdy. I think like last game, I think I would have said McCaffrey could take over the game if he wanted, but I really think they need each other now, because McCaffrey had that one play where he runs almost to the end zone, goes out of bounds, falls on his head, and he gets up and he's totally winded. Like he had been going hard for like 6 plays in a row, and he takes that shot on the head and he has to go out. And he really put this team on his back for, I think, 2 or 3 series, just enough to get the first down, just enough to fight and have a manageable 3rd down. What are your thoughts on McCaffrey now, Omar, having watched this game?
If I can say, obviously, yes, I think he is our best player. Do I think he's the most valuable? No. I think that title has to go to Deebo Samuel. I think
today?
Any day.
Any day. Because Deebo was awesome today too.
But the fact is that when Kyle Shanahan is saying when we lost Deebo against the Packers, we basically had to throw out over 1/3 of our playbook. I mean, that's because that's something valuable right there. Because you line him up, anywhere you line him up, he's a threat. He's a weapon, not only to get the ball, to run, to block. I mean, he's gonna be part of the play. And I think he is clearly the difference maker.
And then along with the McCaffrey duo here, Purdy stock. If we're talking Purdy this week, I said it last week, this is going to be the week for the Purdy haters. They're like, look at him at Green Bay. He was sluggish. He didn't come on till late. Everybody who negged Purdy all year long, he comes into this game and he's almost doing it again, where he's really, really sluggish and stagnant offense early. And then I think there were 2, maybe 3 huge Purdy runs where not only were they huge runs, he's diving head first into contact. He's got a bloody lip at one point. To me, I'm like, whoa, Purdy became a man today. I think when did Purdy turn into Mahomes over here? It was impressive, the Purdy performance today. Do you think Purdy changed in the casual sports fans' minds as a non-49er fan, Uncle Ray? What were your thoughts on Purdy after this?
Oh yeah, that made a difference in some of those drives where he just took off and he wasn't sliding. He was going to take the hit, and he got some good hits too.
Big time hits. There was the one where the Detroit Lion guy almost rips his helmet off, and they're like, it could have been a penalty, but they don't call it. And he just pops right back up, and he took some shots on some of those deep throws too. How about you, Omar? What's your Purdy stock right now?
It was high. He made a lot of plays with his feet. He was going after it. The plays that he actually took off and ran and got those first downs, he still went through his reads. So I was real appreciative of the way he used his legs today. And if he can keep that up, I mean, the Niners, they got a chance.
I have a thought on this later, but Purdy really needed a bounce back from last year's NFC title game. Remember, he played all of 2 plays last year.
Right.
And then this year it was his shot at home, started slow, and then dug it out, really dug it out today. That was impressive. And it almost makes me think, can we still vote on the MVP? Because Lamar's stock went way down today. Purdy and McCaffrey splitting the MVP. Can we still give it to them? Or should we just vote right after the regular season and get it over with? Because that was a great two-man team today on offense from the 49ers. But all right, we talked a little bit about just the momentum, the luck, just the overall feel. But Omar, when the kicker misses that field goal early, did you get scared?
Yes, because we obviously have a kicker problem.
You think so? There's a kicker problem?
He didn't do so hot to close the season, and he missed some kicks last week, and or one big kick last week, and I don't know if he's dependable anymore.
How about you, Ray? When you see something like that happen as a neutral fan, do you sometimes say like me and say like, oh, it's not their day? If they're missing these things, it's just not going to happen. Where are you on 49ers?
Yeah, I thought it was a drawback for them missing that field goal, and again the momentum stalls right there, and it gives it back to the Lions. So yeah, I didn't watch enough of the 49ers this year, but they're having kicker problems, I guess. So you never know what it comes down to, Just
and how
like
about
just like the Buffalo game, man? That was something
right.
when the guy wide right. Oh my God, man, that was terrible. That was so deflating.
Last point on the kicking game, Omar. How nervous were you on the onside kick?
Nervous, but I was nice to see the replay. Caught that. Clearly, that wouldn't have stood anyway.
Yeah, it was a pretty good onside kick. It got a good bounce, but
he kicked it real well. I think it had that player. I'm not saying it was for sure would have worked, but had he just waited just maybe a split second,
right.
Could have been something.
Because I think it was Connolly on that side would have had to have taken it on the short hop.
Right.
So it would have been interesting to see how he would have fielded it as well. Last point on this game. Did you watch the trophy presentation?
Yeah, yes.
I thought it was pretty cool. I don't think I've heard Brock Purdy really speak that much, so I don't really know what his voice sounds like. And then Kittle, like I don't know when it became a mandate that every tight end has to be the crazy guy on every single team. He's like yelling to pump up the fans and stuff. I like how Michael Strahan tried to turn it into Dick Clark's Rockin' New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
He's like, let's get him in here, everybody. Let's hear it, everybody. It was fun. Make it your own, whatever TV affiliator is doing it. Last question for both of you. I'm going to start with you, Uncle Ray. As a neutral fan, what are your thoughts, concerns, predictions for a 49ers Super Bowl?
No comment.
No, what? Why no comment? What? Now you're not speaking.
Okay. Hey, it's gonna be. I just want it to be a great game. Again, like you say, I'm neutral. May the best team win. That's all I can say. But you know who I'll be rooting for if we get together.
Oh boy! All right, Omar. Why don't you try?
I think you and I are probably going to be at the same party.
Oh, jeez. This is dangerous.
Fun.
All right, Omar, I want you to be as neutral as possible. What if you were to say, what are the strengths of your team? What are the weaknesses of your team? Because I have a couple for each.
The weakness is clearly we have some defensive breakdowns. And here's the thing. Look, when excuse me, they were up 14-0, the Lions were. They 24-7 at its largest lead, 24-7.
Mm-hmm.
If that's Patrick Mahomes with a 24-7 lead, he's not giving that up.
Yeah, I have a similar thought. If we're taking the sample size of the Green Bay game and the Detroit game, you can throw and run on the Niners. And the Niners have started slow offensively 2 games in a row now. They're a good enough team to bounce back, but They played Green Bay. They played Detroit. And now they're playing the Kansas City Chiefs, the potentially burgeoning of a dynasty Kansas City Chiefs. There's some holes in there that they have 2 weeks to fix. And look, I've already made Omar nervous. He's rubbing his eyes. he's getting scared.
It's been a long day.
Well, that was the 49ers Detroit Lions game. Uncle Ray, thank you for joining me. Thank you for your 2 cents.
Later, Ray. We'll be in touch.
Yeah.
That was my Uncle Ray, everyone.
Later, Pat.
Thank you, Ray. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back with Ravens Chiefs. Okay, coming back. Kansas City, Baltimore, 17-10. Kansas City wins. First big point I have is Baltimore's inefficient offense. This was a team that for, I think, the first 2 quarters, Lamar had 5 pass completions and one of them was to himself. The offense was lacking, was the big thing that stood out to me early, at least, with Lamar, MVP of the league. They couldn't get down the field. It wasn't like they were going 3 and out of it. They would get 1 first down and then they would get stopped. They get 1 first down and then they would get stopped. It was a really weird, frustrating performance from them in the first half. Didn't you think? Is that what stood out to you?
Let's not take away credit from the Chiefs defense because they locked them down.
Mm-hmm.
I
thought so too, but Lamar would have these little flashes of he would scramble and he'd be in the open field and then he would find somebody. But they just couldn't sustain these drives. And I got the weird feeling, like I talked about the 49ers kicker when he missed it. And he's like, whenever a quarterback completes a pass to himself, that's my like, oh no, this is not a good sign going into it. Like once the Ravens tied the score at 7-7, and like that was about it for the first half. And it was a weird game because the score was not a blowout, but I never felt the Ravens were competitive in this game. There was a few times when I thought they may open it up, maybe, but that play never came. Did you feel the Ravens had any shot in this game? Because I didn't. I didn't think the Ravens had were nowhere near the class of the Chiefs.
But there were also some times when the Ravens really shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, I have that down here. The Baltimore penalties were killer.
I mean, so you take those penalties out, Patrick. I mean, we may be talking about another football game. I mean,
yeah, they were huge. There was the one where Mahomes gets punched in the head. Kelsey was, I think, went full on troll mode, and he's talking trash on every single play, and he got under that one Raven skin and got the personal foul.
The taunting call?
The taunting call was rough. From who was that? Flowers?
That's 7 points.
Yeah. It went from, again, momentum. The Ravens have been struggling all game. They throw that deep ball to Flowers, which Flowers was pretty damn good in this game. He was the only guy who caught a pass for 2 quarters. And then they're like on the 4. Flowers taunts him. And 2 plays later, Flowers gets the ball, reaches for the end zone, and fumbles. And you're like, oh my God, these guys cannot get out of their own way.
With Joe Burrow being hurt and not being able to compete in the playoffs, it seems like Patrick Mahomes has made a clear case to the AFC, who the best quarterback in that conference is, right?
Yeah.
He just took down Josh Allen and the Lamar Jackson back-to-back weeks, okay? And he's just a better player. He's just a better quarterback. The plays he was making with his legs, Kelsey. I mean, Kelsey had a huge game. Kelsey
today. Yeah, Kelsey was a big factor.
Kelsey
I think he had
arguably the MVP for the Chiefs today. Okay.
Yeah, I would agree. We did not see this Kelsey for the last 6 weeks. Like I was saying, he's catching all these balls, but Kelsey's about good for an hour and a half, and then we lose him. Not this game. I think he had 11 catches, well over 100 yards. He has the record for most playoff catches now. Really big game from Kelsey, which I don't think any of us really expected to happen there. It was a full-on beatdown, and the only time I thought momentum was shifting, though, Omar, is when we come back from commercial, and Jim Nantz says, here's what got him fired up, and Terrell Suggs from the old Ravens Super Bowl team had came out, and he's trying to pump up the crowd, and I think the Chiefs went 3 and out on that drive, and I thought, oh, here it comes. This is going to be it. This is going to be the shift. And it really lasted like one drive. But I thought that had a chance. And the other thought I had, when Flowers not only gets the taunting penalty and then gets the fumble at the 1 trying to score a touchdown, I think as a punishment, the Ravens should have kept Terrell Suggs on the sideline. And every time you fuck up, John Harbaugh just goes, go talk to Suggs. And then Suggs gives you an ear beating on the sidelines. It's like, oh, dude, don't be sent to Suggs. I think he should have utilized that as far as Terrell Suggs. Terrell Suggs looked like he was ready to play. That was a weird game. I'm really disappointed in Baltimore, but at the same time, I think Casey's defense was good. It was rough. It was rough to watch Lamar go down like that. How about all the penalties, though? Where are you on these taunting penalties? Because I could go either way on that one.
I hit the mute. You got to use your head, Pat. I mean, if you the floor, it's just, you just can't look down on him and say anything. I don't care if you're saying, hey, nice play. You just the optics look terrible. And I mean, clearly he was looking down on him and clearly he was saying something.
Yeah. And he pushed him too. Like he put his hands on him. So you can't say like, oh, that's just talk. He did push him. That was a fuck up. And they had so many of these during the game that Mahomes, when Mahomes got clotheslined, didn't need to happen. And when the one guy headbutts Mahomes too, and some of these were on the same drive too. The Ravens oddly were really undisciplined in this game. And I think now I'm going into coaching. Like you get your team, you're at home, and you're the one who's committing all these personal fouls.
Right.
That was a mess. That was a total mess. And all that being said, the Ravens had chances in this game.
Yeah, they did. So, congratulations to the Chiefs, but I do believe that it was the Ravens that lost this game.
Yeah, that I think they were down 10 and Lamar throws that pick on a seam route, which wasn't open.
Oh, bad call. And
just all the air, and they were down 10. They weren't in desperation mode. They didn't need to press. They could have taken a field goal. They were in, and he's pressing on a pass that just wasn't there. I didn't get that one. That was rough. Okay. All that being said, we've talked about how the Ravens shot themselves in the foot. You got Mahomes. If I was to tell you the Ravens are going to return a punt to the 50-yard line with 5 minutes left and they get a field goal, it's 17-10. You would have thought this game was competitive. I still never thought the Ravens were going to tie it. It was really, really weird. And KC, here's Kansas City's last possession. 2 minutes, 34 seconds left. They start at the 25-yard line. First down, penalty, 12 men on the field for defense. 1st and 5. Personal foul. The defender for the Ravens jumps the line. He doesn't just get encroachment. He gets a personal foul on that. And then Romo launches into this conspiracy theory of how jumping off sides would have actually been a good idea because it was 1st and 5. And sure, give him the first. I appreciate that. So now it's first down again. Pacheco loses 1 yard. Baltimore timeout. 2nd and 11. Pacheco for 2 yards. Baltimore timeout. 3rd and 9. Deep pass to Scantling, and that ices the game.
Yep.
So when it came down to it, I don't feel the Chiefs were ever really threatened by this. So then I want to get your thoughts on this. Remember when we spent a whole month in the regular season saying, hey, what's wrong with the Chiefs? Were we just being trolled by the Chiefs? Are they that good?
We're talking about, and then weren't we on their receivers that they're passes that they don't look the same? They can't.
Kelsey looks old.
Mahomes doesn't have any weapons, and you have that rookie receiver Rice. They got Kelsey, Pacheco. They got weapons. Valdez Scantling he'll make a big catch. He iced the game on his back basically with that big catch at the end. So they got their playmakers. They're not they are the defending champions. This is their fourth Super Bowl trip in 5 years. That's not that's nothing to scoff at.
Big disappointment for the Ravens, because even though Detroit lost, I feel like you could call this their stepping stone season. It was like, look where we were last year. We didn't make the playoffs. We finished the season strong, and look where we are. NFC Championship game, and we could have won that game. Baltimore, I feel like you go and hang your heads and be like, what happened to us? What happened to our offense? What happened to our discipline? Why were we committing so many penalties? Are you with me? And Baltimore was the bigger disappointment of the day?
The biggest disappointment of the year, maybe.
Yeah, and I think we're going to hear about it more and more this week, because it was an oddly competitive game, even though after you watch 5 minutes, they're like, oh no, these teams are on different levels. The score didn't show it. But that was weird to watch. And again, like this is the MVP. This was MVP Lamar. Very surprising. And he looked good. Like, he's so talented. It's hard for him to not look good out there. But that interception, I just didn't understand the game awareness. Like, you're down 10. You need at least a field goal. Why press it there? And then I wrote down this comp, and I almost feel dirty about myself for even writing it. You know who I'm afraid Lamar is going to turn into for this generation? It's going to be this generation's Cordell Stewart.
Oh, don't even say that.
Cordell Stewart was so athletic. He could do so many things.
Cordell Stewart did not win 2 MVPs in the NFL. Patrick, get out of here.
Well, I'm talking Cordell Stewart and Lamar in the playoffs, because Lamar could not, inside the 20, he couldn't go any further. Outside the 20s, he was awesome. Not awesome, but he was moving the ball. But once he got inside the 20, it's like the field shrunk and they couldn't punch it in. They had 10 points in this whole game. So again, I told you I felt dirty about it, but I was like, it's like he's so good. Like, we almost don't know how much he's not doing because he looks so good out there. And lastly, I made the mistake, Omar, of watching the CBS pregame show. And at some point, Phil Simms is making fun of TJ Watt's jacket and TJ Watt making fun of Phil Simms' scarf. And I wrote down their key points to the game. All right. Are you ready for the key points to the game?
Let's do it.
Key point of the game: controlling the line of scrimmage.
Well, that was a good one.
Key point number 2: how does Mahomes handle the pressure? And key point number 3: special plays. I have watched football since I was a kid. I think someone who watched football for 2 weeks could have made these points. And this is just what we do with pregame. We just say the same points for 25 plus years, and they kind of are passed off as intelligible thoughts. I've studied all the tape, Omar, and it turns out, if you get a first down, you get a new set of downs.
Yep.
That's how it turns out. How about over to you, Phil? What do you think? Whoever controls the time of possession, that's a big advantage, Omar. That's a big advantage.
Yep.
I don't know why I watch these these pregame shows. It's insane. I think it's just we understand is like this has to be part of the game. We need to watch pregame.
Right.
Unbelievable. That being said, Taylor Swift at the game. Not too many shots of her. You said she had a cool jacket on, but I thought she looked pretty subdued in the luxury box. And in my last, it's not even a point. This is just a question. Did you notice this? The Ravens tie the game with a touchdown pass. Something happens to Lamar, like he gets tackled out of bounds, and the ref goes, timeout, administrative timeout, and they go to commercial. I've never heard of an administrative timeout before. Have you?
Well, we saw.
Did you catch that? What was that?
It was the drone thing, wasn't it?
Oh, okay. Is that because I went a little conspiracy and I was like, oh, Lamar hit his head and they don't want to take him out for a play. Let's do a timeout. But it was a drone thing.
Yes, it was they had a drone.
So a drone got on the field. What happened there?
Yeah, I guess somebody wanted a nice picture.
Oh, I'd never heard of that. Okay, well that clears it up because I thought we had a little conspiracy going there for a second. Drone. I would appreciate more if you just said drone timeout.
That should have been a better one. Yeah.
All right, those were the games. I had a few thoughts and I wrote these down before the game too, because this week all I did was rewatch conference championship games on YouTube. And I think I texted you even a couple times that Donovan McNabb and the Eagles were like in 5 in a row of these games. And oh my God, is Donovan McNabb frustrating to watch. I watched some Packers ones. I always watch the 1990 Giants Niners one. I'm watching all these games and I came up with a few guidelines going into these games. And so I wrote them down before. Now that we know what happened in the games, now we can judge them. Guideline number 1, home field advantage, question mark. Baltimore home field lost. Niners home field won. How much do you think home field played a role today?
I think I think at this point in the playoff, yeah, home field helps, and obviously there's some crowd noise that I think you're going to feed off of. But at this point in the playoffs, I mean, look, Mahomes is always going to have a chance to win a football game. I mean, whether it be in Kansas City, whether it be in Buffalo, whether it be in Baltimore, he's going to be in the game. San Francisco, I think they had a huge home field advantage, but like I said, it wouldn't surprise me if Detroit had won. So I think at this point in the playoffs, home field advantage is overrated.
There was a lot of Detroit fans in that Niner stadium today too. I thought the fans played a role today, especially in that momentum swing. By the way, we didn't talk about Goff too much. Goff was really good today. Now the 2 big passes he missed were crucial, but he didn't have the strip sack. He didn't have the bad fumble. Goff overall this season was tremendous. I really thought he showed up to this game. Even that last drive where they scored the touchdown going into the onside kick and going for it on 4th and goal from the 1. He was great. Goff deserves some credit here. They did not lose because of Goff today. All right, sorry. Title game guideline number 2, the bounce back. And I directed this towards Purdy. And I think he fully bounced back today. Like, the runs did it for me. Do you think Purdy needed this bounce back, or is the bounce back key?
He needed this bounce back.
Yeah, because you wouldn't admit it last week. You were like, he got his bad game out of the way. Don't worry about it. But now you're saying he needed it.
Right. He needed it. He's been taking so much heat. But yes, he needed it.
Guideline number 3. Does defense win championships? On the Kansas City side, I think the defense won over Lamar. I think they were overwhelming. On the San Francisco side, I don't know if it was defense per se, but we could say San Francisco really locked down the run in the second half. I don't know how they did it, but that was a big turning point. So yes, on San Francisco, Detroit for me, if defense wins championships. And they're going to need it for Kansas City.
Yes.
Last title game guideline, NFL conspiracy. I had the thought that the NFL wants a certain matchup for the Super Bowl. One is definitely Kansas City. They want Taylor Swift. They want the eyeballs. They want franchise. However, I don't think there was anything in that game that suggested conspiracy. So no points there. And then on the San Francisco side, a lot of people I talked to didn't want to see a Kansas City-San Francisco rematch. Did you hear a lot of people say that on your end? That they're like, no, we don't want to see a rematch. We want to see Detroit and Ravens to there. But San Francisco wins. What do you think about the San Francisco conspiracy to get into the Super Bowl?
I don't like it. That's a stupid. Conspiracies are all stupid. The bottom line is the 2 best teams right now are in the Super Bowl, and I think we are in line for a really good Super Bowl.
Yeah, I didn't see anything that suggested NFL conspiracy in either of the games today. There wasn't any close calls. There wasn't any, is that a catch? Is it not a catch? Which, by the way, I watched one of the NFC Championship games from like 1992. You would be surprised how much of the game is dedicated to still figuring out if things were caught or not. I just don't think we're ever going to solve this problem. Like, we're going to debate what's a catch till the day we die. It was in games in the 90s, and we still talk about it now.
Right.
But by the way, we have gotten way faster on replays. I watched a couple games where it's like, I'm not kidding you, it's like 4 minutes of replay trying to figure out if somebody stepped out of bounds, if somebody caught a ball. So we have gotten more efficient on NFL replays. Those are my guidelines, just my thoughts before all the games happened. Quick coaching note off the field, because now we have coaches have signed. New England, Gerard Mayo, head coach. Carolina, Dave Canales. Atlanta, Raheem Morris. Tennessee, Brian Callahan. San Diego, Jim Harbaugh decided to go San Diego. Washington, no coach. Seattle, no coach.
Washington now has a coach.
Who do they have? I didn't see this.
Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator from the Detroit Lions.
Oh, really? Oh, that's news. So that leaves us with just Seattle yet to sign a head coach, and that leaves us with Mike Vrabel and Bill Belichick still available. I can't help but think Mike Vrabel is going to be coaching somebody.
And he will. I think he'll land. I think Bill Belichick is done.
Forever?
I just don't know who'd want to give him that amount of power.
Oh, I can think of some teams that would. Washington would have been my pick. And he needs, he's 20 wins away from the record. Give him power for a season and a half? I think some team will. I could see him taking a year off, though, to be honest.
I just don't see it now.
Oh, I think he's coming back at some point. He's got to try for the record. 20 games away? Don't you think?
I just don't know who's going to give him the opportunity at this point. I don't see it happening. I think coaches are looking for owners are looking for younger coaches who can relate more to the players.
How did you feel about the Jim Harbaugh to Los Angeles Chargers?
No shock. Harbaugh wanted to come back to the NFL. And I think that I like Harbaugh, but I think that there's a possibility that Michigan is, could be on the hook for some major sanctions from, if I'm reading the tea leaves right.
Yeah, he wanted to come back. He won the national championship. There's no unfinished business there. He's got a team that has talent. And the other thing I like about him coming to LA is, like, maybe the Chargers can have some notoriety now. Like, there's a reason to go see the Chargers now. They have a head coach. And not only that, like, what about the LA Rams, Sean McVay versus Harbaugh rivalry we can have now? Two coaches, like, this is a really big boost for the Chargers. And I hope they can get it together and be competitive, because the Chargers essentially play 17 away games in their stadium.
Right.
All year long. I read this earlier in the week. Do you know the Chargers are essentially tenants of SoFi Stadium?
Yes.
Yeah, the Rams are the team. Part of the inclination of the stadium was to have the Rams play home games, but normally a stadium is vacant for half the season, but not SoFi, because they have two teams that alternate. And there's a home game every single week at SoFi, and that's where the Chargers slid in and got that spot. So the Chargers in need of some identity. I think this is a great start. I can't wait to see how Harbaugh tries to overhaul that team. I think it's going to be fun for them to go head to head. And I almost think, like, I wanted to put this in best innovation, but it's not really innovation. The Chargers should change their name. Instead of the Los Angeles Chargers, like, call them the Hollywood Chargers. Or call them like the Inglewood Chargers, or fuck it, call them the Compton Chargers, like something. And then they can have their own identity, that would be cool. And we can have their own memorabilia. We can have Hollywood signs with Chargers. What do you think about that? What about this? Because the 49ers are the same way too, because they don't play in San Francisco. Wherever your stadium is, if I were to mail a letter to the stadium. Whatever city that stadium is, that's your team. That's your team name.
Yeah, I
So
like that.
it'd have to be the Inglewood Chargers or the Inglewood Rams or the Santa Clara 49ers. Like we need some hard and fast rules here. That
I
was
like
my
that.
thought. That was my thought with the Harbaugh hiring. I'm excited. I like him in the NFL. He was on the CBS pregame. He does this weird thing. Some people do this. Do you have people in your life where when you talk to them, they listen to you, but their mouth is open? Jim Harbaugh does this. Like he looks at you and he goes, it would really bother me. Like, why does he have his mouth open?
I'm a huge Harbaugh fan. He can do no wrong in my eyes.
Oh, really? Yeah, you have some Harbaugh history with him taking you to the Super
49,
Bowl.
yeah. I like the coach.
Good. That was some quick off the field notes. All right, now we go to trivia. I've been waiting for this one for a while. You're going to like this one. Or are you? This playoffs, we've been doing a lot of like geography trivia. And for this round, this one is based off of geography as well. How many Super Bowls do you think the Niners have been to, Omar? You know this one.
This is going to be their 8th Super Bowl.
You're right. They've been to 7 Super Bowls. However, can you name all 7 of the locations of the 49er Super Bowls?
Super Bowl 16 was played in Detroit, Michigan.
All right, you got that one. Pontiac, Michigan, Silverdome.
I'm sorry, Pontiac, Michigan, Silverdome.
1981 versus Cincinnati. Yep, Super Bowl 16.
The 84 team was against the Miami Dolphins. I want to say was that, hold on, was that Palo Alto? Or no. Or was it Pasadena? Oh, damn it. It was, I'm going to guess Pasadena.
You're wrong on that one. 1984 versus Miami, Super Bowl 19. This is a weird one. It's labeled as Stanford, California.
That's Palo Alto. That.
Palo Alto, and it's labeled as Stanford Stadium. One of the weirdest locations.
Yeah, so I should have stuck with it. Palo Alto. I know it was Cali. The 88 Super Bowl, I think, was in Joe Robbie.
You got that one. 1988, Cincinnati, Super Bowl 23, Miami, Florida, Joe Robbie Stadium.
The following year was played in the Metrodome in Minnesota.
Denver.
Against Denver, yeah.
1989 versus Denver, Super Bowl 24. Was played in the New Orleans.
Oh, New Orleans. I'm right. I know it was a dome. I remember. You're right. Metrodome is where the Cowboys and the Bills and the Redskins played a few years later. I'm sorry. I get those confused, but okay. So I knew it was a dome, but the Chargers, Niners, I think they played that. Oh, I'm going to be wrong on this. Miami.
Correct. Miami, Florida, Joe Robbie Stadium, 1994.
Again.
Super Bowl 29.
And then again, they returned to the Superdome to play the Ravens in New Orleans.
Correct. 2013, Baltimore, New Orleans, Louisiana, Superdome. See if you can get the last one.
And did they go? They went to Hard Rock again in Miami. They played in Miami 3 times.
You got that one right too. Hard Rock Stadium, Miami, Florida, was 2020 against the Kansas City Chiefs. You only missed 2, and they were pretty close too. You missed the Stanford one, which is a really weird Super Bowl that it was held there.
That's what I said. I remember thinking it's Palo Alto, California, but then I said that seems too weird.
Yeah, like I don't know. There had to be some reason they had it there. Very strange Super Bowl there, Stanford, California.
But if you
almost
remember,
a home
Patrick,
game.
That's not too strange because remember, there was a time when the Super Bowls were only played in a handful. It always seemed like it was in L.A., San Diego, Miami, New Orleans,
Indianapolis was another comment.
But not in the back in the day.
Oh yeah,
not back in the day.
Pasadena had a few of them.
Pasadena had a few. That was it.
Yeah, it was almost kind of reserved to the West Coast and Florida.
Right. Remember, because since we're playing in January, it was either going to be in one of those spots or a dome.
Yeah, that would be interesting. We'll have to look it up. What was the very first dome Super Bowl? Uh, yeah, I would say it's probably whenever the dome got invented because I want to say Cowboys Denver
I
was
thought
in a dome a
Cowboys
long time ago.
Denver was in the Superdome, I want to say.
Yeah. And then Raiders Eagles
Was
was
it
late, was
also the
maybe,
Superdome, I want to
yeah,
say.
I think that was 1980 though. So
I think you may be right on the Broncos Cowboys.
might have been the first one.
Yeah. And I
Huh.
think it was maybe Super Bowl 12.
Hmm. Well, that was trivia. Also, you got all the 49ers Super Bowls right in chronological order too.
Patrick, come on.
Wow. Wow. Very impressive. Omar, get ready. All right, that brings us to the awards for conference championship weekend. You know, we only have two more shows to go, really, Omar, with this one and Super Bowl.
Right.
So we're rounding the corner here, but awards. First award goes to best quote of the day. I've got two nominees on on Zay Flowers' fumble at the one. Did you notice he goes to the bench and slams his hand
And
on the
last
bench?
week, right?
Yeah, and then he's got blood in his hand. And Jim Nance's quote is, "You're saying he cut his hand on the bench?" Thought that was a good quote.
I'll go with that one. I like that one.
And second nominee, McCaffrey, Christian McCaffrey from the trophy presentation, just yells out on the mic and he gives a loud, "Faithful!" Like, is that a 49er chant you knew of before?
We are the faithful. Yes, we are.
But you knew that chant already?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I go those two nominees for my quote of the day. I kind of like McCaffrey's "Faithful." I can get behind that.
I like the faithful. I'll go with that one. I'm gonna see. I'm biased.
Award number 2, hot take award for the day. Here's my two, but I got one red hot one that's definitely my winner. Number 1, not even a hot take. This is more of a social commentary. I like how Bud Light, like a year ago, got in the big social kerfuffle over signing Dylan Mulvaney, and then Kid Rock is shooting Bud Lights, and it's a whole to-do. I like Bud Light's commercial of Peyton Manning and Emmitt Smith just essentially buying everyone a beer. It's almost like
throwing them at the bar.
Yeah, like how can we get back the goodwill of our loyal customers? I know, let's do a commercial where Peyton Manning and Emmitt Smith just give everybody beer. I gotta say, pretty effective. It's a good commercial.
Good one.
Other hot take. What if Bill Belichick coached the Pro Bowl? Like, let's just bring him in as an honorary
coach.
Although someone just told me they don't even have the Pro Bowl anymore.
No.
They don't even play a game, right?
I don't think they do. The last time I remember, I knew something. When I saw Mac Jones run like for 70 yards on a touchdown run, I said, I will never watch the Pro Bowl again.
God, the Pro Bowl is really...
Mac Jones is running 70 yards untouched. That's not a Pro Bowl.
How is Mac Jones in the Pro Bowl is the next question.
I think, well, the problem is all the stars that don't play.
Yeah, that's true. I don't like the Pro Bowl like this. The Pro Bowl was always half speed, but they played a game. Like, there was tackling, right?
Yeah.
Am I making this up? And now they play dodgeball and they have these little fun games, which I guess I'm okay with, but we need to do something about the Pro Bowl.
Let's go back to the Pro Bowl the week after the Super Bowl.
Right, because we already are missing a third of the stars because they're in the Super Bowl.
Right.
Obviously.
So I think it'd be cool to see the stars like kind of relaxing in their Hawaii shirts. Mm-hmm. Let's take it back to the old Aloha Bowl.
Yeah. I would even be for like, all right, fine, we're not going to have a game, but like, let's make a whole week of events. So we can have dodgeball, but we can have like the longest thrower. We can have the obstacle course. Or what about this? We can have a game show and they can be like contestants on like a Wheel of Fortune or a game show like that, a Price is Right. Or we could play like the Newlywed Game. Like say you get like your best friend teammate and you play the Newlywed Game with them and you answer questions about each other. Let's just go. How about that?
How many players do you think would be interested in going to a resort, a 5-star resort, and them boozing and smoking?
They're getting paid too, by the way.
Getting paid. And play like a Madden tournament, like online Madden.
A video game tournament would be good. Yeah, it's like, oh, we got Team Kelsey against Team Mac Jones in the Madden Pro Bowl, Super Bowl. Like we could do something with this with some fine tuning. If we're not going to play, we could do something, get some personalities out there. All right, we're on the same page here. We do something with the Pro Bowl. All that's fine and good, but here's my hot take, Omar. I've been saving this since like week 10. The Super Bowl will eventually be moved to the Sunday before President's Day, thus making the Monday after the Super Bowl a day off.
The holiday they finally get.
And we get a day off Monday after the Super Bowl. It's going to happen. It's got to happen.
Oh, that would be perfection.
Yeah, everybody's got the day off after the Super Bowl. That's my hot take is move the Super Bowl.
Let's give up preseason for that.
Mm-hmm. Who wouldn't agree with that? That's my hot take. Do you have a hot take or do you like the Super Bowl one?
Oh, I love that Super Bowl one. But my hot take is going to be the Detroit Lions will be in the NFC championship game next year too.
Didn't you predict the Detroit Lions would be in the championship game like early in the season this year? I thought
I did. I'm sure you can find it. Yeah.
We'll go to the archives. Next award, Best Innovation. I only got one this week. I didn't see a lot of innovations this week, but I got one, and it's almost kind of cheap, but it's the Applebee's commercial all you can eat for $14.99. Like we all make fun of Applebee's, but Applebee's looks really good in commercials, don't you think?
I do.
Remember Baby Back Ribs? Remember that song? Everybody sang that song. So I went with Applebee's all you can eat, $14.99. That's a good deal.
Yeah, I like that. That's a great one.
That's my best innovation.
Best innovation.
What do you got? Best innovation, or do you like Applebee's?
I think my best innovation is just the nostalgia we give to companies like what am I wearing right now? The Mitchell, the Mitchell and Ness, the companies that brought back the old jerseys. It was nice to see Barry Sanders and Joe Montana hugging. I think that's something, pregame that we just like to see the old timers and
the honorary captains is great.
The honorary captains. And I like the honorary. That's the best. Honorary captains, bringing the old players back, the old heroes from different franchises. Let's do that.
I like that both broadcasts did the national anthem for these games too.
Yeah.
Like we got to see the Jets fly over. Award number 4, cringeworthy award for the week. I got 2 nominees. No, I got 3 nominees. One was from the Ravens Kansas City game. Did you notice the referee's voice kept cracking on the mic? He was like, holding number 76. And it happened like 3 different calls. The poor guy is on mic, national TV, and his voice is cracking like a teenage boy. Was one cringeworthy award. I got McCaffrey when he fell on his head. Just a little scary. Just a little scary when I saw that.
I did not like that.
And then last cringeworthy nominee, the Apple goggles commercial. Did you see this? Where the guy's wearing goggles and he's going through his whole life he's playing with his kid with goggles. We need to pump the brakes on our technology. Our technology is outpacing our humanity at this point. No goggles, no wearing goggles to bed, no wearing goggles to take a shit, no more goggles while you're making love to your wife. This is insane. You can't be wearing goggles through your whole life, Apple. I didn't like that commercial at all. Did you even see that one? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I did not like that, but I will be looking into purchasing some.
Oh, come on. Why? What is the advantage of these goggles? Just totally remove yourself from reality and just live in this technological bubble? I don't want that.
Patrick, I have plans for these goggles, but I can't talk about them on air.
All right, we'll turn off the mics. Okay, go ahead. The mics are off, Omar. Go ahead. All right, sorry, everybody. I tried. By the way, I know what you're talking about. Award number 5, or do you have a cringeworthy award?
No, that helmet. I almost went with McCaffrey falling down.
When Purdy almost got his helmet ripped off too. That looked a little painful. Award number 5, best costume design. I got 2 nominees. Number 1, in the Ravens game, because it was cold. You know the big jacket that the sidelines guys give the players, like when they come to the sideline, they put the big jacket over their shoulder pads. Yeah, I like that. But specifically, I like when the player's going in the game and he just flips off the jacket like James Brown. And it's like, oh, Lamar, get in there. Throws the jacket off, and then someone has to get his jacket.
Yeah.
Just like his James Brown. I like the jacket. And then secondly, did you catch Barry Sanders wearing this really sharp blue blazer?
I was about to say that was my favorite. The Lions blue blazer.
That looked great. That looked great. I'm giving to Barry Sanders blue blazer. Best costume design. We're in agreement there. Award number 6, Advice Alley. Number 1 nominee. I saw the preview for the New England Patriots documentary Dynasty, and it's on Apple TV Plus. So my advice is to myself, how do I get Apple TV Plus? Because I have to watch that documentary. That looked fucking good.
We will see it. We'll figure out a way where it's going to be fantastic.
I think Belichick might do TV next year. I could see that. Like, I'm not ready for him to go. I want to hear his thoughts on things.
I don't think he's going to go. He'll get a job somewhere.
Oh, yeah. I think he'll do TV. Possibly Tom Brady's going to be in a booth next year.
And if you remember, Bill Parcells went through a time where he was in the booth for a while before he went back. So I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that.
Did you see Bill Belichick on that? I think it's the HBO thing. It's him, Brady, and Collinsworth. And Bill Belichick is essentially hosting it. Like, we all know Bill Belichick is the guy who says, on to Cincinnati, and I'm not going to talk about that. You get him outside of a game, he actually is really, really talkative and informative. Is why I really want him to see him.
He was breaking down what he said was Ed Reed's most brilliant play he's ever seen. And he was talking about how he believes that Ed Reed purposely did something on one game to show Peyton Manning the next game, and then Peyton Manning saw it, and Ed Reed tricked him. And so that kind of analysis, it's easy. No one else can do that.
I really think he has something to offer in the entertainment world that we're discounting right now. Did you see him on College Game Day like a month or two ago, where he's on the panel hamming it up, and he puts on an old Army helmet, and he's kind of like hamming it up and smiling? I'm like, whoa, who's this Bill Belichick? We got to have this guy in our lives. So I'm really in for the documentary Dynasty, and I want to see Bill Belichick in something. Like, take a year off, no coaching, but let's get him on a panel somewhere. I think he has something to offer there. Next piece of advice for my other nominee is, this one's a little controversial. Coaches, start coaching up runners, receivers, and QBs to never reach for the goal line when you get close, because they fumble it every time. Stop reaching for the goal line. That should be the new. When you get to the goal line, tuck it, everybody. No reaching. You tuck it when you get to the goal line.
Yeah, that was heartbreaking.
And then lastly, this is kind of applied to the Detroit Lions. It's okay to kick a field goal. My other advice.
Like I said,
I'm going to go with the Dynasty one. Apple TV is my advice alley to myself.
I like that one, but I just say, Coach Campbell. My advice is, he stuck to what he knew how to do all year, and I'm not going to fault him for that.
He really went down swinging, like just going for it on the fourth downs. So it's hard to fault him. I think, knowing what we know, of course he'll do it differently, but it's like, that's how we got here. We're going for it on fourth. We don't care. All right, you look like Morrissey over there.
Nice.
Next award, the Sunday double feature.
Ooh, I'm going to go with Apollo 13. That's what I'm going to watch tonight.
Why? I like that movie.
Oh, I had a feeling to see Apollo. I'm going to say, I want to compare, was it Lovell, who was I think he was the head of of that flight. How close he got to the moon. I'm going to compare that to Lamar Jackson. How close he got to the moon and just has to turn back and go back to Earth.
Oh, you think Lamar's like in the locker room saying, like, we just lost the moon, boys.
Patrick, we just lost the moon, boys.
Yeah. A lot of people don't like that movie. I always liked Apollo 13.
Oh, that's a phenomenal movie.
Yeah. Is that really when Tom Hanks became America's dad? I think that might have been it.
That's right around the time, that's right around the time we left Joe versus the volcano. We left the Turner.
Oh, that was bad.
The Turner and Hoochers.
Splash.
But then he got a little more serious when he did a League of Their Own.
Oh, yeah. Philadelphia.
Forrest Gump and Apollo 13. That's when
Yeah.
those movies.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that run. Philadelphia, Forrest Gump, A League of Their Own. Didn't he win the Oscar 2 years in a row? Philadelphia
Gump in Philadelphia.
and Forrest Gump. Like that's pretty all time, back to back. Yeah. Oh, maybe I want to watch that now. Ed Harris is sneaky good in that movie too. I like him. I also like any movie that has a control room celebration, like at the end, where they're all like watching to see if the shuttle's gonna appear on the radar, and the control room like goes nuts, like we did it. Like in Armageddon 2 has a control room celebration. I'm all in every time. All right, my Sunday double feature. You know what I got? The Super Bowl is in Vegas in 2 weeks. I got the movie Swingers, specifically when they go to Vegas.
Okay.
When they're like, Vegas, baby, Vegas. You think we're going to be there by midnight? We're going to be up 500 by midnight, baby. And at some point, like 2 hours into their drive, they're like, Vegas. I've been to Vegas a few times for parties, bachelor parties, birthdays. There's always that moment in Vegas where like, we're leaving tomorrow, right? Like somehow you get over Vegas before it's time for you to go.
Right.
You know, it's definitely going to happen this year. For family members, for players, you'd be like, oh my God, Vegas too much. Why do we think this was a good idea? Award number 8, the final award. Who won the week? And by the way, before we do it, let's already say Taylor Swift won the year. We already know that. She won the year. She got more fans. She's got plenty of let's take her out because she's the obvious nominee for who won the year overall. But as far as who won the week, I went Travis Kelce / the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs, who I don't even know. Or I went Purdy / McCaffrey.
How can you not give it to Purdy after he had to silence the haters this week? So I'm going to go with Purdy.
Going Purdy. I'll tell you, Michael Strahan thinks he won the week. I'll tell you that much with his podium celebration. All right, I'm going to go with you. I'm going to go Purdy, but I go / McCaffrey.
Fair.
Won the week. That was impressive that they turned it around because it could have got worse. It could have got worse in there. Like we saw Baltimore unravel for like a quarter and a half with all the penalties. San Francisco didn't ravel. They righted the ship.
Yeah.
That was the awards for a conference championship weekend. So that leads us with the prediction. This is going to be our first prediction of the upcoming Super Bowl. Omar, Kansas City versus San Francisco. What are your hopes, your dreams for the game? What are your fears for this upcoming game? What's going on in your head right now?
Obviously, we can't get too far behind Patrick Mahomes. I do think this is a better team that this Niners team with Purdy is better than the Jimmy G edition of the team. So I am going to pick the 49ers to win. And I am going to go with the final score of 37-24.
Oh, okay. So you got some high scoring games there. 37-24.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I wrote down in my conference championship guidelines list, and then I scratched it out. Never bet against Mahomes until he loses. Just don't bet against him. So I have a little bit of that fear in me, but I love a rematch. And I want the 49ers to get even, thus bringing to the third Super Bowl, like this settles all, loser goes home, rematch, like the third one. So I definitely want San Francisco to win so they can get revenge. And then they can have the whole next year just circling each other like Rocky III again.
Right.
So concerns San Francisco defense, running the ball, slow start for offense. Concerns for Kansas City. Are we going to see the same Kelce that we did in this game? I think that's a question. Like, can he put this game together 2 in a row? I don't know. We haven't seen that all year. The Kansas City defense is good. That being said, eventually Baltimore got to Mahomes late in the game. Like the Kansas City Chiefs went into this weird, almost prevent offense in the middle of this Baltimore game where they weren't really scoring, but they were milking the clock a little bit. So those are my concerns. All that being said, so let's just go coach on coach, Shanahan versus Reed. I think the 49ers have more tools. I think they have more talent.
And I think this time it's going to be more experienced Kyle Shanahan than the one that went against Andy Reid the first time around.
So I'm going to go with Mahomes plays great. However, the 49ers offense plays great too. So I'm going to go 45-41. Okay. San Francisco. This is going to be a no defense type of game. All right, that was the Sunday Night Talk for the conference championship. Kansas City Chiefs, 49ers in the Super Bowl. We had Uncle Ray on the show. We talked the games. We did trivia. We talked coaches. And, of course, the awards. Omar Carmona, Super Bowl. I'll see you there. Thanks, buddy. Okay, that's the show. That is the conference championship. Sunday Night Talk, Omar Carmona, a special call-in from my Uncle Ray. I thought that went well. They didn't get into too many fights. Well, hey, that's expected. A lot of emotions here on the show. I want to remind everyone, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, please do so. New subscribers are coming in all the time. All my content is up there. Speaking of some content, if you want to see me doing live stand-up comedy in February 7th, I will be at the Del Pueblo Brewery in Pasadena, California, and February 17th, I will be in Venice Beach for the outdoor comedy show there as well. If you're going to those shows, please let me know because it is going to be great. More shows coming up after that as well. All right, we are set for the Super Bowl. Omar Carmona is pumped. I was worried about him. He wasn't responding to texts. I had to text friends of friends to check in on him. I don't want to bring this up to him during the show because he's an emotional fan, but that was my concern during today's game when the 49ers got down big. Listen, they pulled it out. They did it. They're the champion. No getting around that. So, Super Bowl coming up. The Sunday Night Talk will be here for you. A couple surprises as well. I hope you tune in. I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank Uncle Ray. I want to thank Omar Carmona, and for me, myself, Patrick Ramirez. I will see you next time on the show.